Well, we really don't know what the heck is going on because the man won't release his medical records. Oh, yeah, he's taken cognitive tests, he keeps telling us. Yeah, right. Hi, this is Jennifer Rubin, and this is Jen Rubin's Green Room. Well, Trump has lost it. Now, I know I have said this before, and many of you have thought this before, but we have seen something this week that I can only describe as a physical and mental breakdown. What happened? Well, on Monday at a rally that was in the form of a town hall, he took just a few questions and then he said, well, let's listen to some music. And he remained on stage for about 40 minutes, rocking back and forth, rocking, rocking, rocking. What was he doing? I have no idea. Either he couldn't go on, or he lost track of time, or he forgot what he was going to say, or he couldn't hear. Whatever the explanation is, this is not normal behavior. He completely lost it. And it was so bad that the New York Times was forced to report it. Yes, they reported that he had this very bizarre episode. How do you explain this other than something is wrong with his brain? Normal people don't do this, and professional politicians don't do this. And you could tell everybody on stage was a little bit nervous, like, what the heck is going on? Well, we really don't know what the heck is going on because the man won't release his medical records. Oh, yeah, he's taken cognitive tests, he keeps telling us. Yeah, right. He hasn't released his medical records. He hasn't released these tests, which people surmise is not a indication of dementia or other serious mental problems. He's released nothing. And of course, he hides from Kamala Harris. He won't do a second debate. And he hides from tough interviewers like 60 Minutes or any other mainstream outlet. So Kamala Harris did something very smart on Monday when she went to Erie, Pennsylvania. She said, roll tape. Now, at that point, she didn't have film of the rocking back and forth number, but she did have film of him making these wild threats that people who oppose him are the enemy from within, and we should use the National Guard to get those people. That was pretty frightful stuff. And she ran it with a huge crowd present and forced the mainstream media to carry it. Yep, that's the way you have to do it, because otherwise they're not going to feature that. They're going to portray this as Trump in another animated performance, suggested that. No, he's calling anyone who opposes him the enemy within, and he's prepared to use force to shut us up or throw us out of the country. So it was a great move. I think she should do it every time, and she has more material. Not only does she have Monday's catastrophe, but on Tuesday, he sat down for an interview at an economic council. Why he does these, I don't know, because as you will hear, he comes across as a blithering idiot. And he was interviewed at length, and it was a disaster. First of all, the interviewer was very good. He would ask him something like, well, isn't it true that tariffs are going to be essentially levied on the consumer and they're going to pay $4,000? And he said, no. And the interviewer said, it's simple math. Or when he went off topic, flapping his gums about something else when the topic was Google, the interviewer patiently asked at the end, yes, but I was asking about Google. Could you answer that question? And he frankly made Trump look like a moron, which he is. And it wasn't because the questions were that difficult or were gotcha questions. For example, he asked, what would you do since you want to cut spending? What would you remove? And Trump said, I kid you not, oh, we need a new Air Force One. That is not cutting spending, that is adding to spending. So he is completely incapable of having a normal, calm, responsive interview. And what's worse, he gets very angry when he gets caught being a dullard. So he attacked the interviewer, he attacked the Wall Street Journal, and he also attacked American auto workers. Yes, he said any child, any moron can open a box of parts and assemble a car. After all, these people are not worth much. So that's a really interesting way of going after the working class vote, calling them children, and suggesting that a child can do their job. So that's Donald Trump. He is coming apart at the seams. Now, he's been bad. He has always been bad. We know because we watch them that his rallies are complete shit shows, and Kamala Harris has repeatedly invited people to go watch them, and now she's showing excerpts. But this is a whole new level of crazy. This is a whole new level of brain malfunction. So, what is happening? The best explanation I've heard, talking to psychiatrists, psychologists, Trump watchers, is that as the pressure builds on him, as he begins to suspect he might just lose this election, and I believe he will, and the result might be that, yes, he could go to jail because the prosecutions will resume. He is beginning to panic. The walls are closing in. He's beginning to lose it. He insists now that Kamala Harris is the one with the mental problems. Oops, projection. That's a surefire sign he's worried about his own mental health. It is all coming apart. And so he's coming apart. He was not someone well mentally situated before this election. After all, he convinced himself that he'd won the last one, and he has always delved into violence and racism. That's nothing new. But the complete inability to function in a campaign event, that's something new. And I suspect, I have no inside information, that we're going to see and hear more about it from Kamala Harris, because she has figured out something that is quite true. First of all, the more people see of her, the more they like her. That's why she's out doing a lot more media. She's even going to do a Fox News interview. She might do Joe Rogan. She already did 60 Minutes. So the more she is out there, whether it's hard news shows or whether it's softer programming like The View or something in between like Howard Stern, she knows her getting out there, her being energetic, and by the way, her releasing her own medical records reassures people she's sprite, she's ready for the job, she's on the ball, and she's a likable, nice person. And now she's figured out the flip side of that, which is she has to force the press to cover Trump's insanity because they are completely averse to doing their job. They had no trouble driving President Biden out of the race for being old and non-responsive, but they will not fully describe, explain Trump's maladies to the American people. You can say they want him to win. You can say they just want a horse race. You can say they're deathly afraid of the MAGA. Whatever the explanation is, they have not covered his insanity and his extremism and radicalism and fascism the way they should. So now she's forcing them to. Now she's giving them no alternative because she's going to do this, I suspect, at every campaign event. And if they're going to cover her, they're going to have to cover her references, her roll tape episodes, and her takedowns of Donald Trump. Now, that's how you win an election. In the final weeks of the campaign, when people are finally paying attention, when people are getting their early ballots, when people are filling out absentee ballots, now is the time to put the pedal to the metal and to really pull out all the stops. And that's what she's doing. So is it going to work? I think so. I think she has a tremendous advantage. And when you put on top of that she has an actual campaign strategy and a campaign staff that can turn out the vote, why, I think you're going to have a Kamala Harris winner. But remember, not going to happen without you. So get out there and vote. And remember, democracy depends on it.